Welcome, and thank you for joining us for Oracle Live. I'm Leo Leung, a VP of Product Management, and today we're going to share how you can run your workloads more flexibly and efficiently on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Oracle Cloud is located all over the world, and we're growing really fast. We have 37 locations today and hundreds of interconnection points, including 11 directly with Azure. The business is growing really fast. We're continuing to make huge investments, and our goal is to be at 44 regions by the end of 2022. Customers are running a wide range of workloads on OCI, from core enterprise applications to artificial intelligence. From processing the 15 million packages FedEx delivers every day to helping optimize the entire UK electrical grid, we're excited to help customers run better in the cloud. With that, let's hear directly from some recent customers.
OCI was able to provide us the flexibility we have been looking for. A significant difference here on the OCI side is that you can tailor the infrastructure, especially to the specific needs, like for instance, flex shapes of the virtual machines. And on the other hand, OCI really delivers on the promise of elasticity. We moved up to now the core video technology, which means everything that has to do with video transcoding, transport mixing, things like this, into OCI. And here we see an initial benefit of 50% savings.
If you need to spread this out over high-speed connected hundreds of GPUs, you basically need a cloud that's able to allow you to mount these kind of clusters. And that's difficult, right? That's not something that is standard by any means. And I think one of the things I liked is that really the way the OCI seems to be set up, it seems to be really at the top level of hardware, right? So I think like for storage, for CPU, for RAM and GPU, these machines are about as good as you can wish for.
We have had a pretty spectacular transition into the cloud. We achieved all the savings that we did, which for us was in the nature of $4 million a year in operating costs that we were able to save through cloud and the processes that got us to the cloud. For us, it was a spectacular savings. We went from the neighborhood of 1,500 tickets a month as a support team to under 50.
So put yourself into the shoes of one of our race strategists. So imagine you have 10 seconds in which to make a decision which can cost your business millions of dollars. Having the right tools in which to inform that decision is critical. And this is what OCI brings us, is it allows us to analyze, scale, and present that data to provide a competitive advantage in such a short space of time.
It's so great to hear customers succeed on OCI. Now, I want to talk about some common myths about the cloud. That you have to rewrite your applications to actually get the elasticity you need. That it's complex to actually understand the pricing and it's complex to scale. Our strategy actually tackles these myths head on. We make it easy for you to take even older applications and enable elasticity, enable the best performance for the best price. The pricing is simple on OCI, so it's easy to understand and it's easy to save money. And then finally, as you grow, our resources can grow along with you, so you don't have to re-platform to scale. Simply, it's easy to optimize, easy to save money, and easy to scale. Now I'm going to turn it over to our product leaders to give you more details, starting with Yogesh Kaushik, VP of Product Management, to tell you a little bit more about networking. Yogesh, come on.
Good to see you. Welcome. Let's talk about network. Why are we starting with networking? We at OCI believe that networking is fundamental to how your applications are designed, how they operate in the environment, how you secure them, and how you scale them. So we have few core principles. If you think of all the investments that we're making, the few core principles that we follow, how your network should behave. Number one, it has to be really flexible. Your network is foundational for your application. If your applications are scaling, if you're a retail customer, you have Thanksgiving or Christmas time when the applications are really scaling up, you don't want your network to be the bottleneck. You want the network to scale with the application. You also don't want to have these large shapes that you pre-provision. The network has to understand how the applications are working and scale up with them. Everything that we're building in OCI is flexible by design in networking. Number two, network is a very important control point for securing your application. So think about this. Everything is connecting to the network, whether it's east-west communication, whether it's traffic coming inside your cloud or on your on-prem, all of that touches the network. So it's a very important place where you could encrypt the traffic, secure the traffic, apply your policy, have a single control plane which you could say where your policy gets enforced. And network is really important control point for that. We at OCI want to give you the network that's secure by design, end to end, whether it's your application endpoints, whether your load balancers, whether your web application firewalling, or your network security. And last but not least, it has to be simple. Networking should be as simple as a customer saying, my workload A should be able to communicate with workload B, regardless of where they are, under certain conditions, with certain performance, with certain policy. We allow you to define the policy that way, and we give you complete visibility in how your network is behaving, how things are working, what is not working, and I'll talk a little bit about what those capabilities are. So let's start with some of the interesting things that we've released in recent past few months. First and foremost, sticking to the themes, everything is flexible. We have a layered 4, which is your network load balancer, as well as your application load balancer, and they're both flexible by design. What does that mean? It means that you don't have to pre-warm anything. You don't have to select a large shape. You pick your load balancer, you define where you want to attach it to, and as your application scales up, your load balancer scale up. You only pay for the duration and the bandwidth that you're actually using. You don't have to pay for unnecessary large shapes. Same thing if you think about our dynamic routing gateway. This is something that we could have just very easily gone and said, you're going to connect to on-prem, you want to connect to your other VCNs, let me give you yet another gateway. That's not the approach that we took, though. We took an approach where it's the same gateway. We've enhanced it to work with all your application. Single place where you can define policy, everything converges into your dynamic routing gateway. All the traffic that's coming into your network, into your OCI network, you have a single place where you can define the policy. Number two, on security. Our Fast Connect, when you connect your on-premises applications to cloud, we also now offer Fast Connect that is encrypted. This is something that a lot of our customers have asked for. We are shipping that currently. And as I mentioned before, it's not just about what we can secure in the network, but what is connecting to the network. So we always had a web application firewall that you could enforce on the edge, but now we're taking exact same policy, identical policy, implementing that on your load balancer. So if your application scales out, you can also scale your web application firewall and the policy with that. Why is that important? Because ultimately you're building these data centers, you're going into cloud to build applications. Applications are the digital assets that you care about. We're protecting that and with scale as the application scales out. And last, end-to-end monitoring. As I mentioned, networking should be really simple. You should be able to discover everything that's connecting to your network. This is a single control point where you could go and say, where are my load balancers? Where's my firewall? Where's my web application firewall? What computes are running where? How do they interact with each other? Who's talking to whom? How does my routing policy look like? What does my security policy look like? So we now offer a single place, single pane of glass, where you could go and take a look at everything in your network, end to end. Let's switch gears and talk a little bit about things that are coming up in next few months. Sticking to the same themes, first and foremost, in terms of keeping the network flexible. Every time we partner with our ecosystem and we find cost savings where we can do more interesting things with our partners, we want to make sure that cost saving is passed on to our customers. Let me give an example. One of the biggest costs that our customers tell us is the egress for network. The internet egress is super expensive, but more importantly, it's very unpredictable. So our customers don't know how much their monthly bill is going to be for the egress traffic. Now, we already offer a 10 TB free per month, but even then, we wanted to go one step further and see where can we make it more predictable. And as your application scale, you shouldn't have to worry about your egress bandwidth. So we partner with some of the CDN players like Cloudflare, where everything that's going from our object store to Cloudflare, we can actually make it free. Same thing when you're scaling your IP addresses. We already offer bring your own IPv4. We're also adding bringing your own IPv6. Why is that important? Because IPv6 is where the world is going. IPv4, we're running out of it. So customers can use our infrastructure, but they can also bring their own IP. What that allows you to do is not refactor your applications, not change everything. And the last on that is the web application acceleration. So typically, you would see your CDNs that accelerate the application for the users, depending on the regions that are coming in. But we believe that all these capabilities need to be brought in further, deeper into the network, closer to your application. So we're also just releasing web application acceleration that works with your load balancer. So you can cache at the load balancer, you can speed up your application. On security, we're adding encryption not just for Fast Connect, but also east-west. So the workloads, as they're talking to each other, you want to encrypt that traffic. A lot of our customers want to do that. We want to make sure that you can do it seamlessly. And we're also adding extensions, security extension to DNS. DNS is a very notorious control plane for data exfiltration. DNS security is very important. And last, coming to the same themes, simplicity. We're adding not only more configuration and path analysis, so you can actually say, what happens when you go from point A to point B? What path does my network, my traffic follow? What happens if something gets blocked here? Who is trying to bypass my firewall? Or if you wanted to take all the traffic, pass into another security platform, do a full deep packet analysis, we can also give you VTAP, full traffic mirroring. So with that, let me pause, and I want to invite our SVP of Compute, Bev Crair. Welcome, Bev.
Thank you so much, Yogesh.
Thank you.
I'm Bev Crair, Senior Vice President of OCI's Compute and Capacity Organization. It's great to be here today to share the work that OCI Compute is doing to help customers address some of your biggest challenges. After 40 years of serving over 400,000 customers worldwide, Oracle has developed a deep understanding of what's needed to operate successfully in today's global economy. We understand that you want to manage your business, focus on your solutions, limit your costs, and you don't want to pay attention to anything that doesn't support those goals. That's why OCI Compute provides the flexibility and simplicity you need to run workloads your way. Let's take a look at how we're helping you deliver world-class solutions, whether you're a traditional enterprise or born-in-the-cloud company. The reality is, not all applications and workloads are built the same. Depending upon how your business requirements drive your application strategy, how you deploy can vary significantly, and one size definitely does not fit all. Maybe you have legacy applications that you'd like to run more cost effectively, or you need to do heavy processing to model car crash simulations, or run complex 3D imaging to help halt a global pandemic. OCI bare metal instances give you total control at a fraction of the price of on-premise deployments. You can even choose clustered instances working across low latency networks for extreme performance and power at market-leading prices. However, you may also be deploying applications that need the flexibility and portability provided by virtual machines. For example, you might be running a web or an e-commerce application, or a small to medium-sized database where cost savings and agility are equally important. OCI virtual machines are easy to manage and deliver cost savings. For those of you that choose VMware for your virtualization platform, I'm excited to announce a new AMD-based offering for the Oracle Cloud VMware solution. OCI now provides the flexibility you need with lower core count options to help reduce VM licensing costs. Because we understand not all applications are built the same, nor do they have the same business requirements, we've taken virtual instances further. Sometimes application workloads run periodically or only for short periods of time. So if they don't run continuously, why should you have to pay as much? That's where preemptible instances come in, giving you 100% of the compute you need at 50% the cost. These are ideal for workloads like batch processing or interruptible workloads that easily run during off hours. Sometimes a workload just doesn't require a full core, and that's where burstable VM instances are a great option. These instances are optimized for workloads that only need a fraction of the CPU most of the time, but when workload demand spikes, they can burst up to 100% of the CPU for short periods of time at a lower cost than on-demand virtual machines. To help you match workloads to whichever shape you prefer, I'm excited to announce that we now support preemptible and burstable instances on our latest AMD and Intel shapes with Ampere shapes coming soon. Finally, I'm excited to announce the upcoming release of our container instances. Our customers have told us that juggling additional container management tools on traditional VMs can increase their cost and complexity. So back to that simplicity factor, with container instances, we're delivering an OCI native service that is simple and efficient. They make containerized workloads easier and less expensive to operate, and also help ensure security and compliance. From bare metal compute all the way around to container instances, we offer a breadth of options to meet your organization where you are and deploy workloads your way. But just like workloads require different options for deployment, the same goes for configurations of the systems those workloads run on. So in the traditional one-size-fits-many cloud world, vendors offer compute and memory with pre-configured or fixed ratios of cores and memory. Unfortunately, fixed shapes forces you to decide whether you're willing to accept unnecessary spend on memory or compute to match one aspect of your workload need, or compromise on performance in order to keep costs down while trying to fit your workload into a fixed shape. And this is where it gets interesting. OCI is really innovating with our OCI Flex instances. We offer a completely different approach that delivers the performance you need while helping you reduce money spent on either cores or memory your applications simply don't need and wouldn't use. For example, what if you're delivering a real-time encoded video streaming service, like a media encoding workload? Media encoding is massively compute intensive, but in most cases it doesn't require much memory. So in this case, the best core to memory ratio is 1:3. That's a really pretty unique shape, but so is the workload. And most importantly, the savings are very real. In this example, you would pay 40% less because you're simply not paying for the extra memory your application can't use. This unique flexibility is a big reason why almost 60% of our customers use Flex instances in some capacity. By paying for what you need and no more, you reduce your cost and you stretch your budget further. With decades of serving global customers, we understand that the price of one thing can be vastly different from one place to another. Different prices add operational complexity and make business decision-making just too hard. We said there's got to be a better way to do business, and we decided to look at it in a different way. A core is a core is a core. It does the same amount of work and delivers the same amount of solution no matter where in the world it exists. So that's why we decided to make pricing the same anywhere in the world. It shouldn't be confusing with rigid commitments or gimmicks that sound great until you get an unexpected overage or a cost spike. So we're here to be your partner, and that starts with being transparent and consistent in our pricing, and also making it easy for you to predict your compute costs so you can focus on running and scaling your applications and your business. Customers have told me that because OCI pricing in places like Brazil, as well as other markets, is so low and predictable, they've actually added markets to their portfolio and unlocked new business opportunities they couldn't with other expensive alternative cloud providers. OCI's compute savings are significant compared to alternative cloud providers that can be over 100% higher in some cases. The really good news? Even with our industry best pricing everywhere approach, we design our regions to work the same regardless of their geography. HPC in North America runs just the same as HPC in Europe or anywhere else in the world. OCI Compute is focused on your applications and workloads. We appreciate that they're not all built the same. Our objective is to provide the flexibility and simplicity you need to support the diversity of your workloads today and adapt as they change, all while making pricing simple and consistent wherever your workloads might run. Finally, I'd like to share a thought about what really makes OCI different. Many cloud providers haven't built operating systems and networks and enterprise applications that are required to truly support the volume of mission-critical business workloads that we have. For Oracle, it's in our DNA to understand what the enterprise needs and design and build that into our cloud to support your critical business workloads today and tomorrow. Now I'd like to hand it over to Cameron Bahar, Senior Vice President of our storage team, who's going to share more about OCI storage and how flexibility and simplicity are core to OCI.
Hi, Bev.
Hey, Cameron.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I run storage and data management services at Oracle Cloud, and I'm happy to be here. Today, I'd like to share with you how OCI storage solves some of our customers' most demanding challenges when it comes to storing and managing their data. Oracle, as you know, has been in the business of building core mission-critical data management and storage systems for over 40 years. And that background and experience has enabled us to build on that foundation and offer some truly unique offerings in the cloud space. Let's take a look at how OCI storage helps you run some of your most mission-critical applications in the cloud. If you look at a typical enterprise, there are 5 classes of applications in their portfolios. Enterprise applications that rely on a relational database like supply chain management or ERP. These require low latency, high performance, high resiliency because they're critical to your business operations. Then there's the technical computing HPC applications like engineering simulations or machine learning applications used in fraud detection and risk analysis. Then on the middle, we have these department applications that are straightforward to rewrite, and they are examples of reporting and analytics. Then we've got web scale applications that support millions of users for functions like e-commerce and mobile services. And last but not least, cloud native applications that scale horizontally like social networks or video streaming. As you are well aware, data is the lifeblood of any organization, and hence storage is foundational to any cloud strategy. Having the right depth and breadth of storage offerings is key to making sure you can build and run your critical applications in the cloud, whether that be block, file, or object. At OCI, we offer fast, secure, and durable cloud storage options for all your enterprise needs. We offer storage that can meet all your demands, ranging from performance-intensive applications to exabyte-scale data lakes. We're secure by default with always-on encryption and fully integrated with OCI identity and access management. It's elastic services. You use what you need and pay for only what you use, and we actually mean that. Enterprise ready, which means it's best in industry SLA, so you can be confident in trusting your enterprise data to OCI. At OCI, we cover the fundamentals in infrastructure as a service. Block is fundamental to our compute layer for boot volumes and application data volumes. File provides industry standard access protocols like NFS for NAS workloads. And Object provides S3 compatible blob stores for big data analytics and archival workloads. If you look at these workloads, like first generation clouds created a new market by producing scale out solutions for the last 2 categories, but they've struggled with the enterprise application. And so let me explain why and how Oracle has approached this problem differently. First, on the left here is the notion of simplicity and completeness. The fact that we have uniform pricing and consistent services in public and private regions globally was already touched upon. What's less commonly known is that we offer simply one volume type for your block service or a file system or an object bucket for that matter. And our customers can simply dial in their capacity and performance requirements, and our cloud would automatically take care of the rest. These are new features that are announced, right? Completeness refers to having enough enterprise-grade features such as snapshots, clones, region replication, DR, etc., to actually enable enterprise customers to move their workloads to the cloud without having to rewrite and re-architect everything. We don't force a myriad of choices and different technologies to accomplish a data management function. We strive and provide simplicity and completeness. Second is flexibility. Flexibility is a key differentiator at OCI, and one that I think makes a material difference in the usage patterns for our customer workloads. As an example, besides dynamically resizing your volumes, we're able to automatically adjust the IOPS required by a volume to service a particular workload. This is really key. So true to the promise of the cloud, our customers can literally start anywhere on the performance curve and move up and down that curve as often as required without detaching, reattaching volumes or rebooting or getting locked into a shape. It's truly online, non-disruptive, and automatic. So there's no need to carefully study, understand, optimize, plan, and select different performance tiers and prices. And it's one volume. It's simple. We free you from all that complexity. All application workloads get the same predictable and steady performance backed by a performance SLA. From read-heavy workloads such as streaming applications, to write-heavy IoT applications, to sensor and log data, to mixed read-write workloads typical of enterprise transactional database systems. An example is for our retail customers. They would benefit greatly from such simple and flexible block storage infrastructure. During peak holiday seasons, when site traffic and transactions surge, the OCI block volume helps to dynamically address these load spikes without impacting applications. This is unique in the industry. It's some of the innovation that you will see from Oracle. This agility allows our customers to only pay for the performance they use when they use it, with no lock into high performance shapes, for the whole year. Third, and this last column here is this notion of offering the highest performance at the best price. As an example, we offer ultra high performance 300,000 IOP volumes at costs that are order of magnitude lower than the competition. This doesn't mean we're cheaper. What it means is if you have a database-centric workload on-prem and it requires a few 100,000 IOPS and it's mission critical and requires low latency, you can actually now afford to move it to the cloud. Computing solutions are so cost prohibitive that it doesn't actually make sense to move these workloads to the cloud. With OCI enterprise grade cloud storage, you can actually begin to do these things. Other examples of efficiency, as are already known, is in our offerings are no egress charges on 10 terabytes of storage per month on object storage, and automatic tiering of storage and data between storage services. At OCI, we're continually striving to provide reliable and efficient solutions to materially move the bar on this best performance at the lowest price. So in summary, the combination of simple, flexible, fast, and affordable, we think gives our customers a unique cloud storage offering that meets their needs for now and going into the future. We're known for innovation, and we will continually strive to bring differentiated solutions to market that meet your needs wherever you are. Thank you very much. And at this point, I'd like to ask Leo to come back to the stage. Thank you, Leo.
Thanks so much, Cameron. With that, thank you for joining our first session. Up next, we have 3 deep dive sessions on networking, compute, and storage with our product experts. These are live sessions with live Q&A, so please bring your questions. We'll also have the full-length videos of GoTo, Cox Automotive, Aleph Alpha, and Red Bull Racing. Thanks so much. To learn more, stay tuned for our technical sessions that are coming up next.